During the 19th century, alcoholism, family violence, and saloon-based political corruption prompted activists to end the alcoholic beverage trade to cure the ill society and weaken the political opposition. One result was that many communities in the late 19th and early 20th centuries introduced alcohol prohibition, with the enforcement in law becoming a debated issue. Prohibition supporters called Dries presented as a victory for public morals and health. Promoted by the Dry Crusaders, the movement was led by Protestants and social progressive Democratic and Republican parties. It gained a national base through the Women's Christian Temperance Union. After 1900, it was coordinated by the Anti-Saloon League. Opposition from the beer industry mobilized wet supporters from the Catholic and German communities. By 1917, the German community had been marginalized by the nation's war against Germany, and the brewing industry was shut down in states by the legislators and finally nationwide underneath the 18th Amendment in 1920. Enabling legislation known as the Volstead Act set down the rules for enforcing the federal ban and defined the types of alcoholic beverages that were prohibited. In the 1920s, the laws were widely disregarded and tax revenues were lost. Very well-organized criminal gangs took control of the beer and liquor supply for many cities, unleashing a crime wave that shocked the nation. By the 1920s, the new opposition mobilized nationwide. Wets attacked prohibition as causing crime, lowering local revenues, and imposing rural Protestant religious values in urban America. Prohibition ended with the ratification of the 21st Amendment, which repealed the 18th Amendment on December 5, 1933. Some states continued statewide prohibition, making one of the last stages of the progressive era. Although popular opinion believes that prohibition failed, it succeeded in cutting overall alcohol consumption in half during the 1920s.
The 19th Amendment was ratified on August 18th of 1920 to the U.S. Constitution, which granted American women the right to vote. This is also known as women's suffrage. The amendment stated, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied by the United States or by any state on account of gender." Although this did not come easy. Years of protest for women's suffrage had taken place. The most popular was in 1848 when the movement for women's rights went to a national level with the Seneca Falls Convention held in Seneca Falls, New York from July 19th of 1848 to July 20th of 1848. This was the first women's rights convention. This convention was organized by reformers Elizabeth Stanton and Lucretia Mott, after the demand for women to vote became one of the main goals for the women's rights movement. Here, protesters discussed their belief that women should be afforded better job opportunities and better education. More than 300 people, mostly women but also men, attended, including former African American slave and activist Frederick Douglass. Not only did Stanton and Mott fight for women's suffrage, but so did Susan B. Anthony and many others. Together, they raised public awareness and demanded the government and President Woodrow Wilson to grant voting rights to women. After nearly 70 years of fighting for women's rights and a lengthy battle, these protesters finally won with the passage of the 19th Amendment on August 18th. And on November 2nd of that same year, more than 8 million women across the United States voted in elections for the first time.